up, guys? Gannon here, back with another Star Trek Discovery review. Do you like my new hat? My grandma got me this hat for Christmas. She got me a couple new hats. You know, I really like wearing beanies and hats and stuff, so I'm feeling comfy and cozy. Today we're reviewing Season 3, Episode 11, titled Su'Kal, and with just 2 episodes remaining after this week's episode, things are really heating up as Osira actually shows up and seems like a threatening main antagonist. And we learn the actually kind of underwhelming origin of the burn. But before we get into all that, a quick recap of last week's episode where we say goodbye to Emperor Giorgio. She stepped through the Guardian of Forever portal to go somewhere new in the Star Trek universe, assumingly to the time and setting of the rumored Section 31 series. And we got to see a whole bunch of cool new Terran universe things, like we got to see Landry again, and even getting to see the Terran Michael Burnham in person. But to be frank with you, I honestly feel like the Guardian of Forever reference and suspense and theories created around it is what truly carried that two-parter. But let me tell you guys, this latest episode was quite enjoyable for me, and I'm kind of happy with the direction they chose to take from where we left off in the last episode. In this episode, the Discovery crew now makes their move in retrieving information from the Kiev, which, if you remember, is a Kelpian research ship that was studying a dilithium nursery at the time in place of the burn's supposed origin point. The Discovery crew is surprised to find out that there is actually a survivor at the Kiev, a Kelpian who is the son of the now deceased doctor who is heading the original investigation after Book does a little flyby. They also learn that pretty much most of the entire planet is made up of dilithium, making it a great prospect for being the origin point of the burn. After a cool debriefing with Admiral Vance, it's decided that Burnham, Culber, and Saru are going to beam down to the planet in order to not only investigate like they originally planned, but to rescue the Kelpian survivor as well. Saru, like most things that have to do with Kaminar, is super enthusiastic about meeting the survivor and helping them, so much that it leads Burnham to question whether he could command objectively under the circumstances. Also, something really cool this episode is that while Saru is away, it gives Tilly her first chance of captaining the Discovery as its newly appointed first officer, and while I'll say that initially her transition to command was a bit cringy and had me questioning whether this abrupt change from a simple ensign to commanding the entire ship was entirely appropriate in the grand scheme of things, but as you can see in a bit, I was actually quite impressed and amused by Tilly's first command performance. As soon as they arrive down on the planet, in a trippy turn of events, Saru, Michael, and Culber are all transformed into different races, Michael being Trill, Culber being Bajoran, and Saru being human, meaning they got to save a little money on Saru makeup this episode, and we got to see Doug Jones walk around and act like Saru with no makeup on, which was really cool. He continues to do the Saru walk and mannerisms and everything, which was really funny to see. Also, I've only watched the season through once over, so maybe I need to go back, but were they ever introduced to Bajorans, or were they briefed on them since they've been to this 32nd century? Are we just going to assume that they've been briefed on the Bajorans since they've been here? Because to my knowledge, Bajorans were more of a 24th century race, while the Discovery crew predates Kirk, so I just thought it was a little dicey that they confidently knew what a Bajoran was. But, you know, that's just a little nitpick by me. They learn down on the planet that the survivor's name is Su'Kal, which Saru informs us is a traditional name given to a Kelpian child after the Kelpian family has faced great tragedy, and that it's symbolic to an end of suffering. Which is appropriate here considering his mother faced great tragedy and was forced to leave him in the care of a holographic program. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we learn that the away team has been transformed and transported to this awesome holographic program realm created by the late Doctor, mother of Su'Kal, that was created with the intention of caring for him, educating him, and supporting him while he waits for somebody to rescue him. It's super awesome and trippy inside the program, and I really enjoyed this portion of the episode. There's this part where they explore an MC Escher type medium with large alien looking beasts levitating around in the sky. It's also cool we get to see a couple of uniforms from previous eras, one that looks a little reminiscent of the Discovery biker jacket uniforms, and another one that was kind of red and a little bit more like the current Bajoran security officer style uniforms that they're using in the 32nd century. Since Sukal has been there for many decades without any form of social interaction from real people, he's very distraught from the sudden arrival of the away team. He flees and they must investigate the program in order to find him before they die of radiation poisoning. Meanwhile, all this is going down. Tilly is in command of Discovery. They're repairing the shields to retrieve the away team when, dun dun dun, Osira actually shows up, and then I discover that the Discovery actually has a freaking cloaking device now? Like, maybe I'm a bit fried and I don't remember them mentioning that little detail when they were going over the refit specs. I'll just have to rewatch that clip after this review. But yeah, the Discovery can cloak now, guys. But because Sukal comes in contact with this dope-ass seaweed monster from Kelpian legend that's created by the program, he lets out this distressing reaction that disturbs both the Discovery's cloak and Osira's cloak. This allows Osira to board the Discovery and take control of it. But prior to all this happening, let's take a quick second to talk about how awesome Tilly was in the captain's chair. Like I said before, her initial transition to the chair was almost a bit cringy and worrying, but she quickly got into the swing of things when she starts confidently giving out orders and commands in the heat of action. And when it's time to speak with Osira over comms, Tilly is super confident, and in my opinion, is as intimidating as she possibly could have been, considering it was her first time in the chair. I think she did a spectacular job speaking to Osira, not only allowing Tilly to shine, as she reassures Osira that she would rather blow up the ship than hand it over to her, and that she's not allowing her to land a single hand on anyone aboard the ship. This interaction also made me feel for the first time that Osira was actually a villain worthy of being the antagonist of the season, which, considering the amount of episodes remaining and also the conclusion of this episode, is pretty much 100% confirmed at this point. Even though Tilly does a badass job in the captain's chair and does all the right things, it's short-lived as Osira is able to board the ship, placing a freaking mind control device on Stamets, and now she has the whole crew at her disposal and full control over the spore drive. Big fat fucking L for the Discovery crew. They've actually let the worst possible scenario occur because of the disturbing reactions by Sukal. Culber concludes that the reaction was scarily like the original burn, and Booker even says that another burn just almost occurred, which concludes that Sukal may have been the perpetrator of the burn originally. Pretty much he is. It's kind of confirmed that he is, and that the reaction can also explain his ability to survive in an environment that's full of lethal radiation. I really enjoyed the whole holographic, trippy environment and interacting with a grown humanoid with childlike tendencies because they've been marooned by themselves in a harsh environment with only computer programs to keep them company for decades. I thought that was really reminiscent of an episodic Trek story, and it was actually a really welcomed surprise in contrast to a lot of the other episodes that we've gotten in this season. I really liked Sukal's performance. I thought the actor did a great job. The seaweed monster was really well animated. I liked it a lot. I really would have liked it if they did kind of do a little bit of a twist on the seaweed monster, maybe like an actual organism or an entity that kind of fucked with them and maybe elevated the episode, maybe added in a little bit more story elements, maybe even tied into the whole burn thing. That would have just made things a little bit more interesting. If you ask me, the fact that Sukal was responsible for the burn and that's really the explanation they're giving us after hyping up the burn for literally the entire season since episode 1 was a little bit lackluster, if we're being honest here. It wasn't some cool, interesting twist or anything, but it was just Sukal basically having a panic attack. So now the Discovery is under the occupation of Osira. Michael, Book, Saru, Culber, and Adira are now the only crew members that are not on board, meaning it is up to them, Book's ship, and whatever assistance the Federation is willing to provide in order to get the Discovery back. But let me tell you, if I was Admiral Vance, I'd be pretty fucking pissed off at the Discovery for allowing itself to be taken by basically their mortal enemy at this point. That's like literally the one thing that they were trying to avoid, and after the Discovery crew just being bitchy, kind of clearly disobeying Vance, and even going behind his back on like a couple occasions. Now, after all this shit, the one thing that they had to make sure that they didn't do was get captured and they go ahead and do it. But I really liked this episode. I thought it was solid. I enjoyed everything, except I was a little underwhelmed by the truth of the burn. I felt like it was hyped up the whole season, and what we got was not really moving or jaw-dropping at all. And another thing I'd like to say before I wrap this up, I feel like Dr. Pollard has done the same amount of doctoring, if not more than Dr. Culber over the course of the series. In this episode, when she's like taking care of Book and then proceeds to examine Grudge, I was thinking like, damn, she's really done like pretty much as much doctoring as our boy Hugh. Like, is that really appropriate, guys? Come on. I mean, I love Star Trek doctors and I like Dr. Culber. Like, dude, he needs to have his own Dr. Culber episode. I know Star Trek Discovery isn't really episodic, but we need like a 16 episode season next season, and we need like a Dr. Culber doctor episode. Please, dear God, like this man needs to be a little bit more impactful. All in all, I give this episode a 7 out of 10. It was good, it was solid, and I'm really looking forward to reviewing the remaining 2 episodes of the season, and I am just so looking forward to seeing the conclusion of this season more than anything, so we could start guessing on what might await us come season 4. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to everyone for watching another one of my Star Trek Discovery reviews. If you're celebrating Christmas this Friday, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. And to everyone else, I wish you a happy holidays. I hope it's a fun time and that you get to spend some quality time with your families. If you enjoyed the video, please slap a like on it. If you have anything that you would like to share with me, please leave it down in the comments below. I will be sure to get back to you. And with all that being said, guys, I'm going to have to see you in the next one. Live long and prosper.